Hey guys, Stick Figure Historian here, and this is the part of the show where Larry comes out and sings a silly song. Oops, wrong show. Welcome to another episode of the Scotland series. In the episode I put out a couple weeks ago, Prince Charles had just come to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland. But shortly after he had ridden through the gates, he was greeted with the roar of a cannon from the rocky crags above the city. It was a warning from the castle seated there. The governor of the fortress was a man named George Preston, and his mettle was soon proven. Charles sent him a flag of truce, threatening that he would burn down his personal estate of Valleyfield if he did not surrender the castle. Preston simply replied that if that were the case, he would send word for King George's ships to go and burn down Wemyss Castle, the special property of Lord Elcho, one of Charles's generals. Perhaps you will recall how the brave Thomas Randolph had taken the castle of Edinburgh back in the long ago days of the First Scottish War of Independence. He had been forced to scale the cliffs upon which it stood, and only by way of a special passage known to a man who had used it to visit his lover. The castle was then, and even in these days, a very difficult nut to crack. At the first, Charles had thought he might take the castle. But once his high spirits cooled, logic set in, and he thought it more prudent to let it alone for the time being. Now, you may wonder what on earth that Sir John Cope was doing all this time. Well, eventually he realized his error in diverting to Inverness. He had rushed with his troops to the coast at Aberdeen and taken quick ship to try and save the capital. But too much time had been lost. He came within sight of Edinburgh on September 17th, only a day after Charles had raised the Jacobite flag from the walls. Charles conferred with Murray and his other advisors. He must do battle with this enemy, or else he could expect a larger force to arrive and besiege him within Edinburgh. And with the castle still untaken in his rear, that was not a pleasant foreboding. The two armies, Jacobite and Hanoverian, met in a marshy field a short ways east of the city, near a little town called Prestonpans. It was Cope who stood at the greatest disadvantage for the coming conflict. For one, his commanding officers were of poor quality. They were skittish, and not able to control their men well. The men, on their part, were largely inexperienced. And worst of all, a whole regiment of them had deserted him. A shifty Highland chief, Ewan Macpherson of Cluny, had suddenly changed his allegiance and taken his men along with him. Prince Charles was eager for the fray. He proposed that they should charge straight forward through the marsh between them in a full-on assault. George Murray was of a different opinion. He said that they should instead make a surprise attack, skirting the marsh and falling upon one of Cope's flanks. He was a blunt man with a proud opinion of his own smarts, which collided very rawly with the prince's own pride. There was quite the falling out between them over this matter. This would unfortunately continue to prove a pattern between Charles and his advisor from Perth. Eventually, however, it was Murray's council that ruled the day. It was nearly 4 o'clock in the morning on September 21st when the Jacobites began to make their move. A willing local farmer's son led them on a secret path through the marsh. Along this they filed as quietly as they could. Their efforts seemed foiled when a Hanoverian picket spotted them and raised an alarm. It turns out Cope had been expecting an attack of this nature, and he had provided a good watch against it. The alarm spread through the enemy troops. "The cannons must be spun around!" The artillerymen scrambled to get their guns pointed in the direction of the attack. But the Jacobites gave them little time to fire those guns. They drew their swords and broke into a wild, screaming assault. Almost to a man, the cannoneers dropped their work and fled. They had never seen something so furious as the Highland charge. To their credit, only a few officers remained behind. They struggled staunchly on and managed to fire a few shots before they were overcome. The dragoons, too, completely lost their senses. They leapt upon their horses and tore away as fast as the beasts could take them. Their colonel, James Gardiner, was the only man among them to stay. He drew his sword and stood ready to meet the charging Highlanders. And there he stood until he had sold his life at a bitter price. With the protection of their cannons and horsemen taken away, Cope and his remaining infantry were rendered utterly helpless. The Jacobites pressed them from 3 sides, and a stone wall behind them most inconveniently blocked their line of retreat. In a mere 30 minutes, the rout was complete. Several hundred of the Hanoverians were slain, and nearly twice that much captured by Prince Charles and his men. Throughout the fighting, Charles had kept close to the front lines. He is said to have expressed regret when he saw the awful violence of the fighting. Perhaps, for the first time, he realized that he was spilling the blood of his own countrymen in the getting of this crown. And Cope? He had fled the field with the last 450 of his men, never stopping until he came to Berwick-upon-Tweed. Needless to say, he never held a command in King George's army again. The defeat was certainly not entirely his fault, but it had tarnished his name forever. Nearly all of the hundreds of prisoners that had been taken that day were immediately let go. The reason largely being that there was not enough food to keep them all. One of their number was a lieutenant colonel named Whiteford. He was one of the men who had stayed behind to fire the guns, and instead of being cut to pieces in the Highland charge, a certain Jacobite named Stewart of Inverness had taken pity on him and spared his life. It was a kindness that Whiteford would never forget. Later that evening, a curious farmer named Adam Scurrying ventured out to see the battlefield. Unfortunately for him, he was mugged by some of the Highlanders who had straggled behind to gather loot. But somehow, that did not change his Jacobite sentiments. As it happens, Scurrying was also a writer, and the events that day inspired his pen. The song he wrote, "Hey Johnny Cope," has served to bring the memory of this short but famous Battle of Prestonpans down through the centuries.
Cope sent a challenge for Edinburgh. Charlie, meet me in your jar, and I'll show you the it's a war if you'll meet me in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. When Charlie looked the letter upon, he drew his sword, the scabbard from. Follow me, my merry, merry men, and we'll meet Johnny Cope in the morning. Hi, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. Now Johnny, be as good as your word. Come, let us try both fire and sword. Dinna flee a wall like a fricked dead bird that's chased for its nest in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. When Johnny Cope he heard of this, he thought it wouldn't be amiss to hae a good horse in readiness to flee a wall in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. I knew Johnny get up and rin, the Highland bagpipes smack a din. Better to sleep in a hailskin, for it will be a bloody morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. When Johnny Cope to Dunbar came, they speared at him, where's all your men? The deal confound me, gin I ken, for I left them all in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? And are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. Now Johnny troth you weren't blake to come with the news of your own defeat. Leave your men in sick a strait say early in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. In faith, co Johnny, I got sick flags with a Langley moors and filler bags. Gonna face them again, you'll break my legs, so I wish yous all good morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning. Hey, Johnny Cope, are you walking yet? Or are your drums a-beating yet? If you were walking, I would wait to gun to the coals in the morning.